Hello, grade 7s, and welcome to the Taiwan History Podcast. The following information has been collected from two sources: The Lonely Planet History of Taiwan and Wikipedia. Sources can be found at the end of your document. Thank you and enjoy. Part 2. Japanese occupation, 1894 to 1945. 13. Despite Taiwan's importance as a trading center, the island remained a widely unruly place, and the Qing government did little to control the frequent unrest between settlers, foreign sailors, and the Aboriginal population. In 1872, the crew of a shipwrecked Japanese junk was executed by an Aboriginal tribe after being told by the Qing emperor that the Aboriginals on the island were beyond the court's control. Japanese troops invaded Taiwan. Before the annexation was complete, the Qing government offered compensation to the families of the dead sailors, as well as pledging to exert more control over Taiwan. Placated for the time being, the Japanese withdrew from Taiwan. 14. In 1894, war broke out between Japan and China over the Japanese invasion of Korea. China's poorly equipped navy was no match for Japan's modern fleet, and in 1895, China was forced to sign the humiliating Treaty of Shimonoseki, which ceded the Ryukyu Islands, Okinawa, Taiwan, and the Penghu Archipelago to Japan. 15. Taiwan responded to the treaty with alarm, and a group of intellectuals formed the Taiwan Democratic Republic, writing a declaration of independence and claiming the island as a sovereign nation. Japan was not deterred, and after subduing the areas of Geelong and Danshui, the Japanese took over the ex-Qing governor's office in Taipei. Control over the rest of the island was not as easy as in the north, and the Japanese met strong resistance as they moved further south. Employing over a third of its army in Taiwan, the Japanese eventually overcame the Taiwanese, who'd confronted the modern weapons of the invaders with bamboo spears and outdated weapons. 16. The hopes of the nascent Taiwan Democratic Republic were crushed, and Japan was to stay on the island for 50 years. It's believed that in the first several months after the Japanese arrived, over 10,000 soldiers and civilians lost their lives. 17. Once the Japanese felt they had things under control, they set out to modernize the island, building highways and railways to improve trade and to open up formerly isolated areas, especially along the east coast. They also constructed hospitals, schools, and government buildings in an effort to improve the infrastructure of the island. Despite these improvements, the Japanese rule on the island was harsh, with brutal crackdowns on political dissidents. The Republic of China, 18. The loss of Taiwan to Japan was merely one of a string of humiliations heaped by foreign hands upon the tottering Qing dynasty, and by 1900 it was obvious that a strong breeze would bring about its collapse. That wind came in the form of a revolutionary doctor named Sun Yat-sen, founder of Chinese Nationalist Party, Kuomintang, KMT. In 1911, China's last dynasty finally collapsed. Sun's KMT stepped in to fill the void, and Imperial China became the ROC. By this time, Taiwan had been under Japanese control for nearly 2 decades, and the nascent ROC had far bigger things to worry about than reclaiming Imperial China's former and farthest flung possession. From the creation of the ROC in 1911 until the defeat of Japan in 1945, Taiwan remained firmly in Japanese hands, while the ROC battled for its very existence on the Chinese mainland. 19. All this would change on 25 October 1945, known as Retrocession Day in Taiwan. Japan, defeated in World War II, was forced to cede all overseas possessions. Taiwan, now a spoil of war, was handed over to the ROC. 20. Though some say the Taiwanese were relieved to be rid of the Japanese, others maintain that most already grown accustomed to the stability offered by the Japanese. In any event, any goodwill towards the Chinese liberators would be short-lived. Almost immediately following the defeat of Japan, civil war broke out on the mainland between the KMT, led by Chiang Kai-shek, and Chairman Mao's communist forces. Embroiled in civil war, Jiang sent an inept general named Chen Yi to govern Taiwan. Chen Yi and his thugs plundered Taiwanese homes and shops, sending anything of value back to the mainland to help support the nationalist fight against the communists. Riots against the KMT broke out, leading to the deaths of thousands of civilians. This concludes part 2 of the Taiwan History Podcast.